Good morning, students. In this class, we are going to discuss about the next concept in the same unit, that is S block elements. Our next concept is anomalous properties of beryllium. Anomalous properties of beryllium. Now, already in the third unit, that is classification of elements, we have seen that second period elements or first member of any group in assigned P, in S block elements and P block elements, the first member of any group or second period elements shows anomalous properties. Now we are discussing about S block elements. In that particularly we are discussing about the group 2 elements, that is alkaline earth metals we are discussing. Now here alkaline earth metals, what are the elements? Or group 2 elements, what are the elements? Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. Here radium is the radioactive element. The beryllium is the first member of the group 2. Beryllium is the first member of the second group element or alkaline earth metal. Therefore, it shows the anomalous properties. This beryllium shows the anomalous properties. Anomalous properties means what? The properties of the beryllium are totally different from the properties of the other elements in the same group. Here these are the other elements, and this one is the beryllium in the second group. Right, now this beryllium shows the different properties than the other elements in the same group, than the magnesium, than the calcium, than the strontium, than the barium, etc. Means beryllium is showing the anomalous properties, different properties than the other elements in the second group. That is only the concept, anomalous properties of beryllium. What are the different properties of the beryllium with the other elements in the same group, that we are studying here. Now already we have discussed the reason. Now then also we will repeat. What are the elements? Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. Here radioactive element is there. This is the group. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. This one is the group. From top to bottom, what about the size? Size goes on increases. Size of the atoms goes on increases. In this way, top to bottom sizes increases. Which one is smaller size? Beryllium. Means because of this smaller size of the beryllium, it shows the anomalous properties. This is the first reason why beryllium in the second group shows the anomalous properties. First reason is smaller size, and second one is smaller size means size is inversely proportional to the ionization enthalpy. Means smaller size means very high ionization enthalpy. Second reason is very high ionization enthalpy. Therefore this beryllium shows the anomalous properties. And the third one is all are having same charge, that is +2. All are having same number of valence electrons, that is 2 valence electrons. If it loses the 2 valence electrons, what will be the charge? +2 charge. All are having same charge. Now if you check the charge by size ratio, that is called polarizing power. Polarizing power is equal to charge by size ratio. All are having same charge means charge is constant. Means polarizing power is inversely proportional to the size. Polarizing power is inversely proportional to the size. Smaller the size, higher will be the polarizing power. This beryllium is having smaller size, means it is having very high polarizing power. This is the third reason for showing the anomalous properties. Anomalous properties. Next, the last one, fourth one is, if you see the electronic configuration of beryllium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium, in the beryllium there is no d orbitals. In the electronic configuration there is no d orbitals are there. That is non-availability of d orbitals in the beryllium. Therefore it is showing the anomalous properties. What are the main 4 reasons for the anomalous properties of the beryllium? First one is smaller size, second one is high ionization enthalpy, third one is higher polarizing power, and the fourth one is non-availability of the d orbitals. That is only I will write first reasons for the anomalous properties of the beryllium is, first one is smaller size, second one is higher polarizing power, third one is higher ionization enthalpy. IE means ionization enthalpy, and the last one is non-availability of vacant d orbitals or d orbitals. Therefore it shows the anomalous properties. Now what are the properties? We will discuss one by one. Sir, you were telling that beryllium shows the different properties than the other elements. What are those properties, sir? What are those different properties? Right, we will discuss now. Properties, anomalous properties. One by one we will discuss. Now first one, for this one I will take a rough paper. Now here, first one is, now what are the elements? Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. Now beryllium, if you see the nature of bond which is formed by the beryllium, means in the compounds of beryllium, if you check the type of bond, it forms the covalent bonds. Covalent bond, that is the bond formed by the mutual sharing of electron. Mutual sharing of electrons, right? Means the beryllium, if you see the compounds of beryllium, in those compounds this beryllium is forming the covalent bonds. If you check the other members in the same group, these are forming the ionic bonds in their compounds. Means if you check the compounds of magnesium, compounds of calcium, compounds of strontium, in this all the cases, right, these other elements in the second group forms the ionic bond. This is the different property of the beryllium. Beryllium is forming covalent bonds, whereas other elements in the same group are forming ionic bond. This is the first anomalous property of the beryllium. That is only I am writing here. Beryllium forms covalent bonds or covalent compounds. You may write covalent compounds also. Covalent compounds, whereas other elements forms the ionic compounds, or you may write ionic bonds. Why, sir, it is forming covalent compounds? Because of smaller size, high polarizing power, high ionization enthalpy. These are the reasons, right? Next we will go for the second anomalous property of the beryllium. Second, here it is. If you check the coordination number of the beryllium, that is number of bonds formed by the central metal atom with their ligands, right? That we will discuss in this second year. Now just check the beryllium's coordination number is maximum 4. Means it is not more than 4. The beryllium's coordination number is maximum 4. It is not more than 4, right? Whereas other members may be magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, etc. These coordination number is up to 6. Maximum 6 means beryllium's maximum coordination number is 4, and other elements in the same group coordination number up to 6, maximum up to 6. This is another anomalous property of the beryllium. That is only I am writing here. Here it is. Beryllium does not exhibit coordination number more than 4, whereas other elements in the same group can have coordination number. Cn means coordination number of 6. Now how, sir, other elements are forming the coordination number 6 and only beryllium forms the coordination number only maximum 4? Coordination number for beryllium is maximum 4. For other elements it can be 6. How, sir? Because in other elements there are d orbitals are available. They can make use of the d orbitals, therefore the coordination number of other elements is 6. In case of beryllium, there is non-availability of the d orbitals, therefore its maximum coordination number is 4. This is the second anomalous property of the beryllium. Next we will go for the third one. Now if you check the oxides and hydroxides, here it is, third one. If you check beryllium oxide and beryllium hydroxide, right, it can act as both acid as well as the base. It can act as, here beryllium oxide, it can act as acid sometimes, base sometimes. Beryllium hydroxide, it can act as acid sometimes, base sometimes. Means these oxides and hydroxides of beryllium are amphoteric. Amphoteric means both acidic as well as basic. Such nature is called as what? Amphoteric. Beryllium oxide, beryllium hydroxide, if you check the nature here, both acidic nature as well as basic nature, means these are amphoteric in nature. Means oxides and hydroxides of beryllium are amphoteric in nature, whereas other oxides and hydroxides, if you check, these are only basic in nature. There is no acidic nature, only basic in nature. Means beryllium shows amphoteric nature, whereas other element shows only basic in nature, right? That is only the another anomalous property of the beryllium. That is I am writing here. The oxides and hydroxides of beryllium are amphoteric in nature, whereas other are basic or alkaline. Alkaline means basic only, alkaline in nature. These are the three anomalous properties of the beryllium. Now next we will go for the similarities between the beryllium and the aluminium, that we will discuss. That is similarities between beryllium and aluminium. Similarities between beryllium and aluminium. Indirectly diagonal relationship between beryllium and aluminium. We are studying this one, similarities or diagonal relationship between the beryllium and aluminium. For this one I will take the rough paper first. Here I want to make use of the rough paper first. Here I will take. Now just check, already I told second period elements, let us take lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. Now third period elements, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon. Now just check here, these are the first member of the first group, first member of the second group, first member of the third group, first member of the fourth. Actually 13 14 is there, I am telling third fourth, right? Here it is first second third. Yes, the second member, third, second member, second member, second member of the same group, correct? Lithium first member of first group, the sodium second member of first group, beryllium first member of the second group, magnesium second member of the second group, right? Here this one is the first member of the 13th group, this one is the second member of the 13th group. Now here first member shows the similar properties with the second member in this way. Here beryllium and aluminium, beryllium and aluminium, these shows the similar properties. That is the diagonal relationship. First member shows similar properties with the second member, first member shows similar properties with the second member in next higher group, next higher group. Here it is, first member shows what? Similar properties, similar properties with first member shows similar properties with second member in the next higher group, right? That is the diagonal relationship. Here also beryllium is the second group member, therefore we are studying the similarities between the beryllium and aluminium. Which concept we are studying? Second group elements in the S block element, correct? Now here second group element beryllium is there, beryllium shows the similar properties with the aluminium, therefore we are studying the similarities between the beryllium and aluminium. Why it shows the similarities? Reasons, reasons already you know. Reasons are similar size. If you check the size of beryllium and aluminium, almost similar size. Second one is similar polarizing power, both are having similar polarizing power. Next third one is similar ionization enthalpy. These are the reasons, main reasons for the similarities between the beryllium and the aluminium. What is those? Similar size, similar polarizing power, similar ionization enthalpy. That is only I will write here. Now for this one I will take another rough paper. No, another paper. Now reasons I will write. What is our concept? Here I will write the heading here, similarities between beryllium and aluminium, or diagonal relationship between beryllium and aluminium. For this one first we will study the reasons. Reasons. First one, what are the reasons? First one is similar size, similar size. Second one is similar polarizing power. Third one is similar electronegativity or ionization enthalpy. You may write both, similar ionization enthalpy. These are the main reasons for the similarities between the beryllium and the aluminium. Now we will see the similarities, similar properties. Similarities between the beryllium and the aluminium, beryllium and the aluminium. We will discuss one by one. Now first one, here first one I will take, here it is. For this one I will take the rough paper. Here it is, rough paper. Now this is the beaker 1, this one is beaker 2. Beaker 1, beaker 2, both are filled with the acids. Both the beakers are filled with the acids. Let us take any acid, acids. Now here in the beaker 1 I am adding the beryllium, in the beaker 2 I am adding the aluminium. Beryllium, aluminium, right? Now if you check beryllium, when it is added into the acid, there is no reaction. There is no reaction, means beryllium is not reacting with the acid. Beryllium is not reacting with the acid. Similarly, the aluminium, when it is added into the acid, when this aluminium is added into the acid, again there is no reaction. Again there is no reaction, means this aluminium is also not reacting with the acid. Aluminium is also not reacting with the acid. Means what is the similarity is, both beryllium and aluminium are not reacted with the acids, are not reacted with the acids. Now the question is, here what is the similarity? Both beryllium and aluminium are not reacted with the acid, right, or acids. Now the question is, why they are not reacting with the acid? Why they are not reacting with the acid? Because Because if this one is the beryllium, if this one is the beryllium and if this one is the aluminum, right? If you check their surfaces, here it is surface of the beryllium, I'm marking with this pink one, right? Here it is surface of the beryllium, here it is surface of the aluminum. Both beryllium surfaces and aluminum surfaces are covered by its oxides. Covered by its oxide means beryllium is covered by its oxides, beryllium oxide, and this aluminum is covered by its oxide, that is aluminum oxide. Aluminum oxide. Therefore, because of this protecting layer of their oxides, beryllium is covered by its oxide, that is beryllium oxide, and the aluminum is covered by its oxide, that is aluminum oxide. Because of this corresponding oxides present on their surfaces, they are not reacting with the acids. They are not reacting with the acids. Now what is your answer? Why beryllium and aluminum are not reacted with the acid? Then your answer should be both beryllium and aluminum surfaces are covered by their corresponding oxides. Therefore, they are not reacting with the acids, and it is also called as what? Passivity. Passivity means they are not reacted because their surfaces are covered by the corresponding oxides. Right? That one only I am writing first similarity. Now, that is both beryllium and aluminum are not attacked or reacted. Both are saying not attacked by acids because what is the reason? Because of the presence of an oxide layer or film, right, on the surface of the metal, right? Now, therefore they are not reacting with the acids. What is the similarity? Just think, both beryllium and aluminum are not attacked by the acids. Finished, right? Next we will go for the second similarity between the beryllium and the aluminum. Second one. Now just check. If you see the structure of beryllium chloride and the aluminum chloride, here if you see the structure of beryllium chloride, BeCl2, and the aluminum chloride, AlCl3, both are having bridge structures like BeCl, Cl, 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 BeCl, Cl, BeCl, Cl dimer structure in this way. Right. Now both beryllium and aluminum chlorides, both beryllium chloride and aluminum chlorides are having bridge structures. That is only I am writing here. Now second one is beryllium chloride and aluminum chloride are having bridge chloride structures. Bridge chloride structures, and also both are polymers. This is the second similarity between the beryllium and aluminum. Next we will go for the third similarity between beryllium and aluminum. Now both beryllium and aluminum reacted with the fluorine. They can form the complexes like BeF4 minus 2 and AlF6 minus 3. Means both beryllium and aluminum has a strong tendency to form what? Complexes. To form the complexes. This is beryllium complex, this is aluminum complex. Means both beryllium and aluminum has a strong tendency to form the complex, like BeF4 minus 1, BalF6 minus 3, etc. This is another similarity between the beryllium and the aluminum. What is that? Both beryllium and aluminum has the strong tendency to form the complexes like BeF4 minus 2, AlF6 minus 3. That is only I am writing. Both beryllium and aluminum ions have strong tendency to form the complexes, that is BeF4 minus 2 comma AlF6 minus 3 etc. in this way. Right, now last one we will discuss, fourth similarity between the beryllium and the aluminum, that is, now just check here for this one I will take another rough paper. Here it is. If you check beryllium chloride and aluminum chloride, both beryllium chloride and aluminum chloride has the vacant orbitals, right? For this one they are ready to accept the lone pair of electrons, both are ready to accept what? Lone pair of electrons. Both beryllium and aluminum has the lone pair of, right, empty vacant orbitals, or simply just think that for the satisfying octet rule 8 electrons are required, but these compounds beryllium chloride and aluminum chloride are not having the 8 valence electrons around it, both beryllium and aluminum. Therefore these are having the less number of electrons for writing the Lewis structure. Therefore these are ready to accept the lone pair of electrons. Therefore these are called as what? Lewis acids. Now just think that simple way. This is, I went deeply, right? Just a simple way. Both beryllium chloride BeCl2 and AlCl3 are ready to accept the lone pair of electrons. Lone pair of electrons, it is ready to accept. That is called Lewis acid. Lewis acid means the one which accept the lone pair of electrons is called as what? Lewis acid. Means both BeCl2 and AlCl3 are Lewis acids. Right, this is the another similarity between the beryllium and aluminum. Because both are Lewis acids, they are used in the reactions like Friedel-Crafts alkylation, Friedel-Crafts acylation reactions. That is only I will write here. Both beryllium chloride and aluminum chloride are Lewis acids. Because they are ready to accept the lone pair of electrons, they are called as what? Lewis acids. And they are used as catalysts in Friedel-Crafts alkylation and acylation reactions. Simply Friedel-Crafts reactions. This is the 4 similarities between the beryllium and aluminum. Next we will go for the another concept, that is some important compounds of calcium. Only 2 are there for syllabus. Some important compounds of calcium. Here we are going to discuss about the first one, calcium hydroxide, that is CaOH2, and the second one is calcium sulfate, that is CaSO4. Now first we will go for the first one, calcium hydroxide. What is the name here? Calcium hydroxide. What is the name here? Calcium sulfate. We will discuss one by one. First we will discuss the calcium hydroxide. It is also called slacked lime. It is also called as what? Slacked lime. Now here first we are going to study the preparation, next properties, next uses. Means we have to study the preparation, properties and uses of calcium hydroxide and also the calcium sulfate. One by one we will discuss. First we will see the preparation of calcium hydroxide or slacked lime. SLAKED, slacked lime. Now just check. For this one I will take the rough paper. Now quick lime, one compound is there, quick lime. Quick lime means calcium oxide. In the calcium oxide, if you add the calculated amount of, not excess, right, exactly calculated amount of water, if you add the excess it will become lime water. Therefore you have to add the calculated amount of water into the calcium oxide. Now just check, it will form the calcium hydroxide. One oxygen, two oxygen, two hydrogen, that is calcium hydroxide. Means on the quick lime, if you add the calculated amount of water, you will get the slacked lime, or it is also called calcium hydroxide. This is the preparation, that is only I am writing. It is prepared by adding calculated amount of water in the quick lime, that is CaO, right? We will get the calcium hydroxide or slacked lime. That reaction I will write here. Calcium oxide or quick lime, when you add the calculated amount of water, it will give the calcium hydroxide. That is only I wrote here. It is prepared by adding calculated amount of water, right? Calculated amount of water in the quick lime. Quick lime means calcium oxide. You will get the slacked lime or calcium hydroxide. This is the preparation method. Next we will see the properties. One by one we will discuss the properties of calcium hydroxide. Now for this one, now just check, one by one we will discuss. First, it is a white amorphous solid. The color of this calcium hydroxide is a white color and it is amorphous in nature. That is only I am writing. It is white amorphous solid. Now, for example, I will take one rough paper first. Here it is rough paper. If this is the beaker which is filled with the water, in this one, if you add the calcium hydroxide, it is not insoluble, it is not completely soluble, it is not completely dissolved, it is not completely insoluble. Means it is dissolved very small amount. That can be written as it is sparingly soluble. It is sparingly soluble in water. Means not 100% dissolved, not 100% insoluble, right? Means it is dissolved very small amount. That can be written as sparingly soluble. Means the second property is, it is, here I will write with another pen, it is sparingly soluble in water. Next we will go for the third one. Here this water is there. If you add the calcium hydroxide, you will get this solution. Means in the water, if the calcium hydroxide is added, then that solution is called as what? Lime water. Means aqueous solution. More water means aqueous solution. Aqueous solution of this calcium hydroxide. In the calcium hydroxide, I will write once again, in the calcium hydroxide, if we add the water, we will get the aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide. And this aqueous solution of the calcium hydroxide is called lime water. That I will write here. That is the third property, right? The aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide is called lime water. Is called as what? Lime water. Now next we will go for the fourth one, that is fourth property of the calcium hydroxide. Now what it is, if this is the beaker which is filled with the lime water means aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide. If this beaker is filled with the lime water, to this beaker if we pass the carbon dioxide gas, what we are passing, which gas we are passing? Carbon dioxide. Through this pipe we are passing the carbon dioxide gas, then there is a formation of precipitate, and this precipitate is called calcium carbonate. Means I will write the reaction. If the beaker is filled with the lime water, to this if you pass the carbon dioxide, there is a reaction between the lime water and the carbon dioxide, and there is a formation of precipitate, and that is a precipitate of calcium carbonate. Now just check here, CaOH2, right? And it is aqueous solution. Here it is aqueous, right? Here it is nothing. Calcium hydroxide aqueous solution, that is called lime water. If you pass the carbon dioxide, what happens? One oxygen here, two oxygen here, three oxygen, CO2 plus one oxygen, CO3 and Ca. It will be CaCO3 and it will give the water. Means the precipitate here it is, that is calcium carbonate. Now just check here, when the carbon dioxide is passed over the lime water, it will give the precipitate, and this precipitate is calcium carbonate. If you pass the carbon dioxide continuously, again if you are passing the carbon dioxide, then there is a formation of this calcium carbonate and water and carbon dioxide. All these three react and there is a formation of this compound, that is called calcium hydrogen carbonate. That is only I am writing here. The fourth one is when carbon dioxide is passed over the lime water, a PPT of a precipitate of calcium carbonate is formed. If we pass carbon dioxide continuously, then there is a formation of calcium hydrogen carbonate. How it is formed, we will see the reaction. Now aqueous, here it is aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide, that is lime water. If we pass the carbon dioxide, it will form calcium carbonate as the PPT and it will give the water. To this compound, if you pass the carbon dioxide gas, what happens? This calcium carbonate reacts with water and reacts with the carbon dioxide to form calcium hydrogen carbonate. This compound is formed. This is the fourth property of the calcium hydroxide. Next we will go for the last property of the calcium hydroxide, that we will write. Last one. Here the last property of the calcium hydroxide is, just check, when the lime water reacts with the chlorine gas. Here rough paper I will take for this one. Here lime water, for example 2CaOH2. If this lime water, on this if you pass the chlorine gas, this is the lime water. Over this if you pass the chlorine gas, then there is a formation of CaCl2, that is calcium chloride, and there is a formation of the bleach, that is CaOCl2, right? This is called bleaching powder, that we have studied in 10th class, bleaching powder. Means when you pass the chlorine gas, when you pass this chlorine gas over the lime water, when you pass this chlorine gas over the lime water, there is a formation of bleaching powder. Bleaching powder. This is also another property of the calcium hydroxide. That is only I am writing here. Fifth property is when lime water reacts with chlorine gas results the formation of the bleaching powder. That is, I will write here. How it is formed, we will write here. Just check here. Now, here it is. Lime water. For this one, I will take another pen. Here, for balancing 2 moles of CaOH2, if it is reacted with the chlorine gas, then there is a formation of calcium chloride and CaOCl2. This is called as what? Bleaching powder. These are the few properties of what? Calcium hydroxide or slacked lime. Next, we will go for the uses of calcium hydroxide or the bleaching powder. One by one we will discuss. Now, first use already you know. Where we know, right? This is the property is used. It is used for the manufacture of bleaching powder. This calcium hydroxide is used for the manufacture of what? Bleaching powder. It is used for manufacture of bleaching powder. This is the first use of the calcium hydroxide. Next, we will go for the second use of calcium hydroxide. Now, for the manufacturing of the glasses, they are adding the calcium hydroxide or slacked lime. Means it is also used for the manufacture of the glass. Second one is, it is used for manufacture of glass. Next, we will go for the third one. Third one is, now just check. Third use we will discuss for this one. Here, for the purification of the sugars, and water, right? Clark's method we have discussed. In the Clark's method, the water is purified by adding the calcium hydroxide. That is for purification of water and sugar. We are using the calcium hydroxide. Where we have studied the purification of water by the calcium hydroxide in hydrogen unit, conversion of temporary hard water into the soft water by Clark's method, by adding the calcium hydroxide that we have discussed. That is only here for the purification of water and sugar. We are using the calcium hydroxide, that is slacked lime. Next, last one is, it is used as a mortar in the construction buildings. Means in the construction of the buildings, it is used as the mortar. The calcium hydroxide is used as the mortar. Now, already we have discussed here. I will take a rough note. Just what we have discussed. We have discussed the preparation of calcium hydroxide, and we have discussed the properties of the calcium hydroxide, and also we have discussed the uses of the calcium hydroxide. This completes about the some important compounds of calcium. In that, calcium hydroxide is over, right? Preparation over, properties over, uses over. Preparation, calcium oxide. If you add the calculated amount of water, it will give the calcium hydroxide. That is the preparation, and also we have discussed the properties and also the uses also over. Next, we will go for the next some important compounds of calcium. Some important compounds of calcium, that is calcium hydroxide over. Next left one is calcium sulfate. Means our next concept is calcium sulfate. That is we are going to discuss. Next, second some important compound of calcium is calcium sulfate. Second one is calcium sulfate. The formula is CaSO4. Right, in that we are going to study the plaster of Paris. Already in the 10th might be you have studied. Plaster of Paris means CaSO4 half H2O. This is called plaster of Paris formula. What is the formula for the plaster of Paris? CaSO4 hemi-hydrated. Hemi means half, hydrated means half water molecule. That is called as what? Plaster of Paris. Now how to prepare? First, already we know that we have to study the preparation, properties and uses of this calcium sulfate. That is, in that calcium sulfate we are going to study particularly the plaster of Paris. That is calcium sulfate hemi-hydrated, CaSO4 half H2O. Now we will see the preparation first. How it is prepared? For this one I will take the one rough paper first. Now just check. Here it is, rough paper I will take. Now just remember gypsum first. Gypsum, one compound is there, gypsum. What is the formula of gypsum? It is also very important for 1 marks. What is the formula for plaster of Paris? Your answer is calcium sulfate half H2. What is the formula of gypsum? Is CaSO4 2H2O. It is the formula for the gypsum, bihydrated. Right? Now that is CaSO4 2H2O. It is called gypsum. When this gypsum is heated, for example, this is a beaker which is filled with the gypsum, that is CaSO4 2H2O. When it is heated about exactly 393 Kelvin temperature, then what happens? 1.5 water molecules are evaporated from here. 1.5 water molecules are evaporated. 1.5 water molecules are evaporated. Means what is left? If you remove the 1.5 water molecules, what is left? CaSO4 half H2O. CaSO4 half H2O means plaster of Paris is obtained. Means how it is prepared? By heating the gypsum. When the gypsum is heated at 393 Kelvin temperature, we will get the plaster of Paris. That is only I am writing here. When I will write when the gypsum, the formula is CaSO4 2H2O is heated at 393 Kelvin temperature, it will give the hemi means half hydrated calcium sulfate, that is CaSO4 half H2O. It is also called as what? Plaster of Paris. Now we'll write the reaction. What is the reaction is? Just check here. CaSO4 2H2O, when it is heated at 393 Kelvin temperature, 1.5 water molecules evaporated and it will give the half water molecule here, that is CaSO4 half H2O, and it is called as what? Plaster of Paris. Now if this plaster of Paris is heated above, what happens? Sir, you are telling that if this plaster of Paris, right? Now gypsum, when this gypsum is heated at 393 Kelvin temperature, sir, we will get the plaster of Paris. If we heat this gypsum, above 393 Kelvin temperature, sir, what happens? Means there is no water molecule is left. that half water molecules is also evaporated. Both, all two water molecules are evaporated from the gypsum, and it will give the compound that is called as what? Only calcium sulfate. Calcium sulfate. There is no water molecule, right? When you heat this gypsum at 393 Kelvin temperature, you are getting plaster of Paris, that is CaSO4 half H2O. When this gypsum is heated above 393 Kelvin temperature, all the water molecules are evaporated, only calcium sulfate is left. Calcium sulfate is left. That is anhydrous. That is also called as what? Anhydrous calcium sulfate. Calcium sulfate, and its another name is dead burnt plaster. Dead means there is no water molecules, means dead burnt plaster. Dead burnt plaster, right? That is also I am writing here. When it is heated at 393 Kelvin temperature, you will get the plaster of Paris. Now when gypsum is heated above 393 Kelvin temperature, it will give anhydrous CaSO4, that is called dead burnt plaster. Dead burnt plaster. When the dead burnt plaster is obtained, when it is heated above 393 Kelvin temperature. Now this is the preparation over. Next we will go for the properties of this plaster of Paris. Now just check. I will write directly. I will explain directly here. When this plaster of Paris, which is in the powder form, right? When this plaster of Paris reacted with the acid, it will form a compound whose mass is plastic mass. It will form a one plastic mass compound, right? Plastic mass compound, and it is very hard. Now, while surgeries, if someone's bone is broken or there is a crack of the bone, then there is a plaster on the hand or leg. That is a plaster, right? That is a plaster. ಯಾರ್ದಾರ ಕೈ ಮುರಿದ್ರು ಕಾಲ್ ಮುರಿದ್ರು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಹೋದ್ರು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಸೇಮ್ ಅದೇ ಅದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ನಾವು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಚೆಕ್. ವೆನ್ ದ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟರ್, ರೈಟ್, when the plaster of Paris is reacted with the water, it will form the compound that is having plastic mass, very light mass, plastic mass, and it is very hard, very hard. Means it is having the tendency to settling down with the water as a plastic mass and very hard. That is only I am writing the property here. What is that one? It has the capacity of settling with water, as a plastic mass, and becomes very harder within 5 minutes only. Within 5 minutes. This is the property of the plaster of Paris. Means when the plaster of Paris is reacted, or when we add the water to the plaster of Paris, it will settle very hard and it is having plastic mass, right, within 5 minutes. That is the property. Now we will go for the uses, right? I will write directly uses. Already you know. First use is, it is used in surgeries for broken bones or fractional bones, etc., right? For making the toys, ಹುಡುಗರು ಆಟ ಆಡೋ ಸಾಮಾನುಗಳು, ರೈಟ್? that is also made with the help of plaster of Paris for making the toys, right? For making the chalk, and also for making the statues, ಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳು. It is also used for making statues, statues, murtis, right? These are the three uses of the plaster of Paris. First one, for surgery, someone hand is right a pain, that is broken bone or fraction bone, then the plaster of Paris is used for the surgeries. First one. Second one is for making the toys, atada saman good, and also the chalk, the plaster of Paris is used, and also for making the statues, murtigal, it is also used. Means this is the uses. Now we have discussed